The wind moves like a living thing, scraping against stone, whispering through the hollows of the mountain. Snow falls in endless silence, blanketing the world until even sound feels frozen. Deep inside a narrow cave mouth, a faint orange glow trembles a single fire, the only pulse of warmth for miles. Outside, the mountains of central Afghanistan stretch like the bones of the earth, sharp, endless, and merciless. The cold here doesn't arrive, it rains. In winter, it's not the wolves or hunger that come first, it's silence. Silence that eats through everything. Inside, a family breathes in rhythm with the crackling fire. Their breath clouds in the air. Thick quilts, patched from decades of use, cover their bodies. The walls are rough stone, damp with frozen condensation. Beside them, tin bowls, blackened kettles. An old oil lamp still burns faintly, its wick fighting for air. The cave smells of wood smoke, earth, and life. Every night, the same routine gathers snow, melt water, save every spark of heat. The fire never truly dies. It only sleeps. Outside, wind scours the mountain path, where no footprints last longer than an hour. Somewhere in the distance, a wolf howls long, low, and hollow, carried by the storm. In this place, every morning begins not with sunrise, but with survival. The first sound before dawn is the brittle crack of frozen wood being split. Sparks rise, meeting their own ghosts of smoke. The water pot trembles on a small iron grate, steaming in slow bursts. They make tea thick, dark, bitter. It's less for taste, more for warmth. When the fire grows strong enough, hands reach for flour coarse, ground from last summer's wheat harvest. The dough is simple: flour, snow, water, salt. Kneaded on a flat stone, baked against the cave wall, or on an iron plate above embers. The smell fills the air like a promise. Bread is not food here. It's survival itself. Outside, the snow thickens. Donkeys and goats huddle near the entrance, tied to wooden posts, covered in cloth and old rugs. Their breath forms small clouds in the cold. A rooster calls weakly from somewhere near a cluster of mud houses built low into the slope. This is not a village of roads or maps, it's a village carved into survival itself. When the wind eases, life moves outward. A woman steps into the pale morning light, carrying a pot to fetch snow. She moves slowly, wrapping her shawl tight. Each footstep crunches. The mountains are pale blue, infinite. The snow she gathers will become water, tea, soup, life. In the distance, the dry stalks of last year's field poke through the frost, a memory of green beneath the ice. The goats must eat, so they break open frozen grass bundles stored beneath tarps. The animals chew quietly, steam rising from their nostrils. In this village, everyone moves with purpose. Nothing wasted, nothing extra. Each movement has meaning. A hand adjusting the fire, a glance at the roof for leaks, the slow stirring of a pot. By midday, the sun glances off the snow, blinding white. It brings light, but no warmth. Men climb to the ridge, carrying bundles of dry shrubs strapped to their backs. Firewood is life, and each stick must be earned from the frozen cliffs. They chip at roots buried beneath the snow, gather thorn bushes, sometimes break ice from dead trees. Below them, the valley sleeps under a veil of silence. Only smoke columns mark where people endure. In the cave, the children wake, Laughter comes slowly, timid at first, then louder. They chase each other around the fire, small footprints on the dusty floor. Someone boils milk, mixes it with tea and salt, a winter drink known for centuries. Steam fills the cave, mixing with the smell of bread and ash. A radio hums faintly in the corner. Its battery's weak. Static merges with wind. Sometimes it brings music. Sometimes only distant voices. Even that feels like company. Outside, clouds gather again. Afternoon snow begins, slow and heavy. The wind turns sharp. Men return with wood tied in ropes. Their breath rasps, their faces coated with frost. They stomp snow from their boots, shake the cold off, and step into the faint warmth of the cave. The fire rises. Steam curls from wet clothes hung above it. Someone stirs a pot of soup, lentils, onions, a small piece of dried meat from autumn. It's not much, but the smell makes everyone silent for a moment. Hunger is constant, but gratitude is stronger. Night approaches early. The world fades to blue, then to black. The wolves return to the valley, their calls echo like voices of the past. Inside the cave, the fire burns steady. Shadows dance across the walls. The oil lamp flickers near the entrance, guarding against the darkness. The family eats slowly, savoring every piece of bread. Outside, snow piles high against the rocks. Then comes the quiet. The fire dims. The radio sleeps. The wind fills the silence. Blankets are pulled tight. The cave returns to its rhythm. Breathing, sleeping, enduring. And above them, the mountains watch in silence, older than memory, patient as time itself. Morning does not arrive suddenly here. It leaks in slowly, like pale smoke creeping over the ridges. The sky lightens without color, and the sound of wind softens. A rooster calls again, faint, somewhere under the snow-covered mud roofs of the hidden village. Inside the cave, the air still holds last night's cold. The fire is nothing but faint red veins of coal under ash. Someone stirs it with a stick, the soft sound of scraping stone and cinder. The first sparks come alive reluctantly. Smoke fills the low space, and with it, life begins again. A kettle is placed directly onto the coals, its metal blackened from years of use. Water hisses, then begins to whisper. The first smell of boiling tea crawls upward, mixing with smoke and the earthy scent of damp blankets. Children wake slowly, their breaths visible. They pull at thick clothes that have never fully dried. Someone pours tea into chipped enamel cups, dark liquid, bitter and warm. Outside, a new snowstorm waits to begin, pressing gray clouds low against the mountains. The goats call softly from the entrance, sensing hunger. The door, a thin sheet of wood, reinforced with rags, creaks open. Cold floods in instantly. The wind bites exposed skin like sandpaper. Yet someone steps out, wrapping a shawl over the face, shoulders bent into the storm. The mountain rises like a wall of silence. Its surface glitters with frost. Every step breaks through the crust of snow with a crunch. The cold is not just air, it is weight. It presses on the lungs, makes breathing feel like swallowing knives. But there is no time to stop. The animals must be fed. Hay, gathered months ago, is brought out from beneath the protective cover of an old tarp. The goats chew in small, grateful bursts, their teeth snapping rhythmically. Steam curls from their bodies. Nearby, The family's donkey stands motionless, covered in frost, tail stiff. Its saddle is still dusted with the remnants of the last wood-gathering trip. Someone pats its neck, speaks softly, and ties a small cloth around its nose to block the wind. By mid-morning, the fire in the cave burns strong again. Bread dough is being flattened, slapped onto the hot metal plate above the embers. The smell spreads through the cave, warm and familiar. A small pot of lentils simmers quietly beside it, the surface trembling with tiny bubbles. Each meal here is both ritual and miracle. Nothing is wasted, nothing taken for granted. A handful of flour, a pinch of salt, a spoon of oil, these are treasures. Even washing the dishes is done with melted snow. The water used again to dampen the clay walls, sealing cracks from the wind. Outside, the snow grows heavier. The path to the village center disappears. Still, two figures walk slowly through the blinding white one, carrying a bundle of sticks, the other balancing a clay pot of milk. Their footprints fill in within minutes. In the valley below, faint smoke trails rise from other caves and homes built into the slope. From a distance, they look like breaths of the mountain itself. At midday, the storm eases. A weak sun pushes through, lighting the snow in a glow that hurts the eyes. The air is so cold that sound feels muffled. As though the world has been wrapped in wool, children step outside to play. Their laughter cracks the silence. They roll snow into uneven shapes, throw handfuls into the air, and chase each other until the cold drives them back inside. The echoes of joy fade quickly, swallowed by the mountains. In the afternoon, the men leave again, ropes slung over their shoulders, axes tied to belts. They follow a narrow trail carved along the cliffs, searching for any fallen tree or dry branch hidden beneath ice. Every trip carries risk. The cliffs are unstable, and the snow hides holes deep enough to swallow a man whole. Down in the cave, preparations for evening begin. Dried beans are soaked in melted snow. A few onions are chopped. The fire is fed with careful hands, each stick placed as though it were gold. The soundscape of this life is simple. The rhythmic pounding of dough, the slow bubbling of stew, the whistle of wind squeezing through cracks, and occasionally the hollow boom of snow sliding from cliffs above. As dusk approaches, light turns silver, then fades. Smoke from the fire thickens against the ceiling. The oil lamp is lit a small flame in a brass base, flickering gold against the cave walls. Shadows of people move like ghosts, large and slow. Dinner is served directly from the pot, each person dipping a piece of bread into the thick lentil soup. Outside, wolves begin their nightly calls again, closer this time. The sound rolls across the valley, low and long. Inside, no one reacts anymore. Fear has turned to routine. Wolves are part of the winter soundtrack, like the wind and the cracking of ice. Later, after food and silence, someone mends a torn blanket with thread made from old cloth strips. The firelight makes the stitches shine. A small child falls asleep against the warmth of a wall. The oil lamp dims. The cave breathes again in darkness. Only the sound of wind and fire remain. Outside, snow continues to fall, layer upon layer, until the world disappears again into white. Inside, they sleep not from peace, but from exhaustion. And as the storm deepens, the mountain closes around them, like a quiet guardian holding them through another night. The storm has passed, but its echo lingers. Snow drifts pile high against the cave mouth, sealing the world in white silence. The air inside feels still, heavy with smoke and breath. Somewhere deep within the cave, the faint crackle of dying embers marks the only sound of life. Dawn arrives as a gray whisper. The world outside is frozen in place. Trees, stones, paths, all blurred into the same endless sheet. The sky hangs low, like a ceiling of glass ready to break. A hand pushes aside the wooden door. It doesn't open easily. The snow resists. The first wave of cold that rushes in is enough to steal breath. Frost bites the skin like needles. The person steps out slowly, wrapped in layers of wool and patched cotton, scarf drawn high over the mouth. The mountains shine like metal under the pale sun. The cold hums a living, invisible thing that presses against every surface. The world looks peaceful, but peace here is an illusion. The water pot is empty. Snow must be melted again. A bucket is filled, packed with handfuls of powder. It's set near the fire inside, and slowly, drop by drop, water is born. The taste of melted snow carries dust, smoke, and survival. The animals are restless. The donkey's breath rises like steam. Its ribs show beneath the frost. The goats stamp their hooves, shaking the snow off their backs. A weak cry of hunger cuts through the stillness. From a distance, the village looks like a patchwork of snow-covered mounds. Mud homes, caves, and broken walls merge into one quiet sculpture. Thin trails of smoke rise straight into the air, no wind to bend them. Each column means a family still surviving. Inside the cave, the fire is rebuilt with thorny shrubs collected days earlier. The flames burn unevenly, spitting sparks. A metal pot is placed above them, rice, beans, and a single bone from an old meal. The smell is faint, but comforting. Each movement inside the cave is slow. The air is too cold for quick gestures. Words are few. They cost energy. Silence is the common language. The sound of the fire becomes a companion. By late morning, the first visitor arrives, a figure from another cave, higher up the slope. Covered in frost, wrapped in layers of gray wool, carrying a sack of dry herbs. The greeting is quiet, but full of warmth. A few words in low tones, a handshake, a glance toward the sky. The herbs are traded for flour. This is how winter economies survive, not with money, but with trust. Each family keeps a mental ledger of kindness and debt, knowing both will be balanced when spring returns. They sit by the fire for a while, sipping hot tea. The conversation drifts between small talk and silence. The visitor mentions that one of the neighboring caves lost 2 goats to wolves the previous night. The wolves had come close, bold, and hungry. Everyone nods. There's nothing to be done but strengthen the barriers and keep the fire burning through the night. Outside, the sun rises higher but brings no warmth. Icicles hang from the cave's mouth like teeth. The snow reflects light so bright, it feels like standing inside a mirror. A child steps out briefly, squinting against the glare, eyes half closed. Their laughter echoes softly before the wind swallows it. Even joy here sounds small, fragile. Afternoon brings the slow rhythm of chores. The oldest member grinds grains with a stone, turning them into coarse flour. The sound of grinding mixes with the hiss of boiling soup. Someone cleans the oil lamp glass with the edge of a scarf, clearing soot to let more light through. By mid-afternoon, clouds return. The temperature drops again. The fire inside grows larger, and shadows dance along the cave walls. Someone begins cooking bread on the flat iron plate. Each slap of dough against metal echoes like a heartbeat. The smell spreads strong, warm, heavy with smoke. A pot of green tea simmers beside it. This is winter's rhythm. Fire, food, silence. Repeat. But beneath that rhythm is tension, a quiet awareness that supplies are running low. Flour sacks grow lighter. Dried beans are almost gone. The firewood pile shrinks visibly each day. Each stick now is used twice, first for cooking, then broken down further for the next meal. As the light fades, two men prepare to head toward the valley floor, hoping to find fallen wood or dried brush. They wrap rags around their boots, carry long poles to test the snow depth. The descent is dangerous. The cliffs are covered in ice. The river below, frozen, but unpredictable. The air outside grows sharp. The snow creaks under each step. In the distance, crows circle above a ridge, a rare sight in such cold, a sign of something dead beneath the snow. They move carefully, following the faint shadow of the riverbed. The silence here is complete, broken only by the crunch of steps and the faint echo of distant avalanches. Down by the frozen stream, they find branches, remnants of a tree broken weeks ago by wind. Each piece of wood is worth carrying. They tie the bundle tightly with rope, hoist it over their shoulders, and begin the long climb back. The sky turns violet, then gray. Wolves cry again, nearer now. The men do not speak. They quicken their pace, breath short, legs trembling with effort. By the time they reach the cave, darkness has fallen. Inside, relief replaces fear. The fire crackles louder. Steam from boiling soup fills the air. The new wood is placed near the wall to dry. The door is barred for the night. Dinner is silent, the sound of spoons against metal bowls the only noise. Outside, the wolves circle unseen, their eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Snow falls again, soft and endless. Inside, the cave breathes the fire, the people, the faint hum of life refusing to die. They lie down again under thick blankets. The oil lamp burns low. The air smells of smoke and bread. Outside, wind rises once more. The snow buries the entrance halfway, but the cave holds firm. The mountain stands like a sleeping giant, and within it, small lives endure one more night, one more breath, one more promise of morning. The nights are growing longer now. Time feels like it is frozen, just like the earth outside. Each dawn looks the same, pale, soundless, fragile. Inside the cave, the fire is the only way to measure life. When it burns strong, hope breathes. When it fades, the cold takes its place. The mountain no longer feels like stone. It feels alive, breathing, watching, weighing every step, every whisper. The morning begins with silence broken by the faint clinking of metal. A pot being moved, a cup being set down. The air is heavy with smoke and breath, the walls damp from condensation that freezes at the edges. They've stopped counting days. The calendar means nothing here. Only snow levels, hunger, and light tell the time. Outside, the valley lies buried. The roofs of mud houses barely visible. The paths to neighboring caves gone. Snow has turned to a wide ocean, swallowing everything in its calm. Inside, firewood is now a treasure. The pile that once filled the corner has thinned to almost nothing. Each stick is inspected, split again, and burned carefully. Even the dry roots from the ceiling cracks are pulled out and used. Breakfast is smaller today. A thin soup, made from flour and melted snow, with a pinch of salt. Still, the smell brings comfort. The sound of spoons scraping metal bowls feels familiar, almost safe. When the fire burns too low, one of them leaves to search for brushwood near the edge of the mountain. The risk is high, but the alternative is worse. The journey begins through the same narrow path, now more dangerous than ever. The snow here is waist-deep in some places, brittle crust on top, soft beneath. Every step sinks. The breath freezes inside the scarf. The sun above glows weakly through a sky of ice crystals. Every few meters, the silence breaks a distant rumble. A sigh from the mountain. Small avalanches slide down the slopes, taking snow and rock. The traveler pauses, listens, then moves again. At the edge of a cliff, where the wind has cleared some snow, he finds branches frozen together, remains of a fallen tree half buried. With bare hands, stiff from cold, he pulls, cracks, and frees what he can. The sound of breaking wood echoes like a gunshot. He ties the bundle with rope and begins the slow climb back, sweat freezing instantly on his forehead. The mountain gives nothing easily. Inside the cave, the day moves slowly. Someone mends torn socks by the firelight. The thread is made from unraveled cloth. A child warms hands over a kettle's steam, eyes half closed. The smell of burning roots fills the cave, acrid but welcome. As the wood carrier returns, the family stirs. Relief spreads quietly, a shared glance, a brief nod. The new wood means one more day of warmth, one more night of safety. The sun fades early, slipping behind the white ridge. The cold that follows is cruel. The fire burns quickly through the new sticks, forcing careful rationing. Only small pieces are fed at a time, just enough to keep embers alive. Dinner is meager flatbread, torn into small pieces, soaked in salted water, shared silently. Hunger is no longer pain. It has become normal. Later, someone takes a metal bucket outside to gather snow. The night air bites instantly. The snow is blue in moonlight, glittering with crystals. The bucket fills fast, but the handle burns the skin with cold metal. Breath fogs the air like smoke. From the distance comes a sound, a faint growl, low and steady. The bucket freezes mid-air. Two glowing dots appear near the ridge wolves again, moving slowly, their shapes blending into the snow. The person steps backward, breath shallow. The wolves pause, watching, their breath visible. Then they fade into the darkness, disappearing like ghosts. The bucket is carried quickly inside. The door is sealed, a wooden beam placed against it. The fire roars briefly, fed with new sticks. Inside, tension lingers, though no one speaks. The wolves are part of life here, but fear never leaves. The thought of losing an animal, or worse, hovers constantly. Later, after food and silence, the small oil lamp is refilled with the last of the kerosene. Its light glows weakly, trembling on the cave wall. Someone traces a finger along the stone surface, where small frost veins glimmer like silver. The air smells of smoke, ash, sweat, and survival. Outside, the sky clears completely. Stars appear countless, sharp, bright as frozen fire. The moonlight reveals the valley's shape again, blue and endless. The mountain peaks gleam white against the sky. Inside, people settle into their places, blankets pulled tight, fire dimmed to red coals. The soft rhythm of breathing fills the cave. A pot near the fire hisses quietly, water turning to steam, rising in delicate threads. The narrator's voice slows. Here, life is not measured in comfort or wealth, but in endurance, the number of nights survived, the number of fires still burning. Outside, the wolves howl again, joined by others far away, their voices overlapping in mournful harmony. The sound travels over the valley, brushing against the cave walls like the wind itself. Inside, eyes close, sleep comes unevenly. Dreams mix with memory of green fields, of sun, of rivers not frozen. The night deepens, the fire dims, the snow keeps falling, covering the entrance once more. And the mountain waits, silent, ancient, holding its fragile guests through another long, merciless night. The wind is quiet this morning. For the first time in weeks, it carries no snow, only stillness. The silence feels different now, not heavy but hollow, as though the mountain itself has exhaled. The air remains cold, but light touches the cave entrance with a soft gold. Inside, faint smoke curls upward from the fire pit. The embers glow like buried stars. Someone stirs them, coaxing new life with a single stick. Sparks rise, chasing the air, then fade. The pot placed above them begins to hum gently as the water heats. The smell of smoke and tea fills the cave again, the scent of survival. Outside, the snow no longer shines white. It glows faintly yellow under a weak sun. Cracks have begun to form in its surface, small lines tracing the thaw. The sound of melting is quiet, but constant drops falling from the roof, striking stone with rhythm. The mountain is waking. The first sign of change brings mixed feelings: relief, disbelief, exhaustion. Winter has not yet left, but it is weakening. The battle is shifting. The goats sense it first. They stir near the entrance, stamping the ground. Their breath hangs thick, but shorter now, lighter. The donkey brays softly, shaking frost from its coat. These small sounds, once background, now feel like music. Breakfast is different today. A handful of dried fruit, saved from the last summer harvest, is shared among them. The sweetness hits the tongue like sunlight. It feels foreign, almost sacred. They step outside, blinking at the brightness. The snow is deep, but it no longer bites. The wind carries moisture, not pain. The sky is pale blue, washed clean. High above, birds circle again, the first seen in weeks. The valley looks wounded, but alive. Smoke rises from scattered homes, some still sealed by snow, others dug out halfway. Across the ridge, faint human figures move, neighbors, clearing paths, calling to one another, voices echoing weakly through the thin air. The family begins their own work. They dig the cave entrance clear, pushing snow aside with shovels and pans. Their movements, slow but steady. Beneath the packed ice lies the earth, brown, solid, waiting. Each shovelful is heavy, but each one feels like freedom. The cave mouth widens. Light spills inside for the first time in many days. Dust particles dance in the sunbeam like golden ash. Inside, the walls look different in daylight. They glisten with moisture, streaked with the marks of smoke and time. In the corner, the oil lamp sits cold and empty, its job done. The fire burns higher now, fed with the last bundle of stored wood. The heat spreads through the small space, turning it warm enough for smiles. A kettle boils, and someone hums quietly, a tune that hasn't been heard since before the storms began. Outside, small rivers of meltwater run between snowdrifts, cutting paths through ice. The sound of dripping becomes a constant song. The animals are let out to move freely for the first time. They wander carefully, nibbling at patches of exposed grass. The donkey rolls in the snow, shaking off the stiffness of long stillness. By noon, the village begins to look alive again. Doors open. Smoke thickens. Voices echo across the slopes. A group of children runs between houses, chasing each other, their laughter sharp and bright in the cold air. Men gather near a frozen stream, breaking the ice to release water for animals. Each strike of metal against ice echoes like thunder. The released water shimmers beneath the surface, black and alive. Women spread blankets and clothes in the sunlight to dry. The colors muted but visible reds, browns, and deep blues against white snow. The wind lifts corners, making them flutter like flags of survival. Inside the cave, food is cooked slowly, rice mixed with what little oil remains, and snowmelt boiled into tea. The smell fills the air, rich, earthy, full of memory. The firewood is nearly gone now, but no one worries. The mountain no longer feels hostile. It feels familiar again. The worst has passed. Afternoon light pours into the cave, revealing every crack, every shadow, every mark of endurance. The hands that kept the fire alive are blistered and rough. The faces, lean and pale, glow faintly in the orange light. Outside, the snow begins to collapse in small avalanches, sliding softly down slopes, uncovering stones, shrubs, and forgotten paths. In the distance, the faint sound of a river breaking free reaches the cave, a deep, slow roar. It moves like a memory of warmth returning to the world. The camera of the mind moves across the valley, the broken fences, the quiet fields, the paths re-emerging under thawing snow. The mountain glows gold at its edges, as if sunlight has been waiting behind it all this time. As dusk falls, the fire burns one last time before night. The oil lamp is gone, the firelight takes its place. Shadows stretch long and gentle across the walls. Outside, the wolves' howls are distant, now fewer, uncertain. Their hunger is giving way to movement, migration, survival elsewhere. Inside the cave, teacups clink. The fire crackles softly. The family sits in silence, not the silence of fear, but of peace. The cold is still there, but it no longer rules. Night descends slowly. The stars return, not sharp and cruel this time, but clear, kind, like ancient watchers approving the endurance below. The mountain stands, as it always has, silent, immense, eternal. But now, within it, the heartbeat of life glows steady. The narrator's voice lowers. Here, survival is not victory. It is memory, a proof that life, even in its smallest flame, can outlast the storm. Snow drifts shimmer under moonlight. Smoke rises from the cave in a thin, graceful line. The fire sighs one last time before dimming to red. The camera drifts outward over the mountain, over the valley, over the waking land. The wind returns softly, carrying not frost this time, but the scent of thawing earth. And somewhere, between the silence and the melting snow, spring begins to whisper.